Hello and welcome to this video on having quality downtime. I welcome you as a life coach from South Africa, practicing with many different topics. What I'm talking about today is the importance of having some downtime. And I greet you from Thailand, where my husband and I are celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary. And so I thought it very appropriate to talk today about the importance of having downtime. If we look at our society today, we are so busy that the pace of our lives is so quick. We are expected to respond immediately to emails and to WhatsApp. People get impatient if they've got to wait for an hour or two because you might be busy doing other things. Even our children are very pressured time-wise. So if we have a look at our Western society, we overeat, we overdrink, we over-medicated, we overwhelmed, we over just about everything. And that's why we need downtime. In today's modern sort of terminology, we often say, "Oh, I'm just so over it." And yes, we are over it because, in fact, we've had enough. We don't have the time to maybe work through an issue, or maybe to give it the time to think about what the best option is. So our lives today are very frantic, very busy, and therefore we're out of balance. So with downtime, there are two things that we're needing to give a rest. The one is physically to give our body a rest, and the other one is to give our mind a rest. Most times in dealing particularly with male clients, when I ask them if they can switch off when they go away on holiday, they actually are unable to do so. That is how we've got into the way, I suppose, of never switching off, because our businesses don't allow it, our bosses don't allow it. I remember going for a walk with my husband a number of years ago. It was a Sunday morning, and he spent the whole of the walk, it was an hour-long walk, on the phone. It was a business call. And when I questioned him about it, saying, "Sure, it's a Sunday morning, and surely you should have time on your own," his comment was, "I have to always be available for my clients." Okay, so that is a very real and very common issue. We feel we've got to be available for everybody 24/7. Well, my question to you is, do we? Do we need to be available 24/7? Anyway, so getting back to downtime, in order to rest our bodies, I would like to introduce you to a concept that some of you might think is an oxymoron. It's called active rest. In other words, when you are resting, you don't have to be lying on your bed doing nothing. But in fact, you are giving your body and your mind a break away from your normal routine, but you can still be active. So examples of active rest may well be doing some form of exercise, fishing, playing golf, if you're not too competitive, maybe sewing, gardening. So even though you are busy doing something actively, it still can be seen as a rest time because it's doing something you love to do and it's not work related. So one of the things that's important to remember when we are looking for something to do in our downtime is it must be something that we love doing. It's not going to cause us any kind of angst. It's not going to be highly competitive. It's just that we can be doing something that we really love to do. So the second area of relaxation is being able to rest our minds. And that's maybe a little bit more difficult because that is the area that we've got to switch off. And that is the thing that just keeps on going and keeps on going. That's what leads us to the exhaustion. So if we are looking at closing our mind off from all the busyness, one of the most important ways to do that is to calm our thoughts down is through meditation and mindfulness training, and there are lots of online courses you can do. There are lots of guided meditations on YouTube as well that you can listen to. So we're wanting to calm our mind down. Meditation is very good. The other thing that I learned on my 50th birthday, as far as calming my mind is concerned, is the power of distraction. So I'd gone away and my head was so full with thoughts that I thought that if I had one more thought, my head would burst. And during that time, I found for the first time that I could actively distract myself from the thoughts that were worrying me. And so it's happened in two ways. The first was playing golf. I found that I was consumed with where my ball had landed, what club I was going to use, and so it forced my mind to go into a rest time. The other thing that I managed to do was I would, as soon as I started worrying or thinking anxious thoughts, I would once again consciously distract myself, and I would look out at the beautiful view of the sea. I would force myself to look for dolphins. So we can force that distraction by doing something we love, reading a magazine, and making sure that we are conscious of what is our mind doing, what is our mind saying, and if we're going into the default mode of worrying or thinking about work, we just stop that thought and we distract ourselves into doing something more simple. So this is very simple information, but it's something that we don't do. So my challenge to you is to find downtime for yourself regularly, every single week, to find some downtime, and not necessarily only over the weekend. During the week, stop what you're doing and have a little bit of downtime. Go for a quick walk in the garden between your busyness. So I ask you to write in the comment box below what you do in your downtime that you feel really tops up your batteries. And let's start the conversation going. What you do might give other people good ideas. So I'd really welcome your comments below. So I'm going to start. So what do I do for downtime? Well, my husband and I like to travel, which is a lovely way of distracting yourself. I also exercise, running and walking, and during that time I consciously empty my mind while I'm doing that. What else do? I do creative things like sewing and knitting. I sound like an old gran. And I listen to very beautiful music. So those are some of the ways that I use to make sure that my mind and my body has some downtime. What are your ways? So I ask you again to please fill in the comment box below what you do for downtime. And I challenge you in the next week and weeks ahead to think about what are you doing for downtime? How are you topping up your battery? And as always, I thank you very much for joining me this morning. And my next talk, which will also be from Thailand, is going to be on work-life balance. And I'd love you to watch that too. So thank you so much, and goodbye from Thailand.